Now let's start our drawing by putting a line across the bottom part of the picture like this, about a fourth of the way up. And then let's draw another one that sort of curves and dips down here, and another one here, so that we create some foothills and a mountain back here. You know, this is going to be a scene of one of my favorite spots, Palm Springs, California, where the snow-capped mountains meet the palm trees and the grapefruit groves. Now let's put in a little tone up here in the sky. Place your pencil on its side, or if you have a crayon, use it broadside so that you can cover a lot of area with a few strokes. Lay it in rather lightly. We don't want our sky to come too dark. However, we're going to get a snow-capped peak there, so we do need a little depth to this. After you've covered most of it, you can smoothly blend it by using a piece of cleansing tissue. I'll show you how that's done. You just bunch it up like this, and then you work it back and forth and work it in various directions until you get the background smoothed out. That's the idea. Of course, if you want to put in a cloud effect, well, you can add some more tone to it later. And now let's get that snow cap to the mountain. Let's bring it down here sort of irregularly, like that. And bring some tone down this slope, because that mountain is basically a cone form. We'll have our light come in from the upper right, so you'd shade down the left side like that. And bring your tone right down close to the top of this foothill. Now let's get a crevice in this mountain, sort of a big canyon. Make another one go out this way. Use your crayon on its side like that so you sort of craze it and break it up into sort of triangular shapes. A little bit later we'll put in a few accents in those canyons to indicate more roughness. Of course, here and there you can blend across in order to give a little more substance and tone so that the lower part of the mountain doesn't appear to be as white and snow-capped like the top. Yes, you might even bring a little tone down the edge of this snow cap and a little down there. Now within the crevices of these canyons, put in some still darker accents here and there. And let's darken this slope even more. Bring all of this tone down close to the surface of that foothill also. This Coachella Valley, where we have Palm Springs, is one of the most interesting and one of the newest developments of nature. Actually, up until about 300 years ago, this was under sea, and the land slowly rose, and there are many records there of sea life that lasted right up to the past 300 years. Of course, now it's a verdant valley, irrigated by the great Colorado River. Now let's indicate some buildings back in here. You don't need to actually draw a building, but suggest shaded sides of buildings. There's modern and Spanish architecture combined there, and in the brilliant sunlight, about all you see is glistening white and then the shadows. Well, here in the foreground, we can make an interesting driveway by making a curved stroke come around like that. And starting at that point, let's bring another one around here. Now let's give a little thickness to that surface so that it looks as though there's a curb. There's some beautiful curved drives around there in Palm Springs. Now for some tone on this top surface here. Make those strokes lie down horizontally like this. Just stroke them in, lying flat like that. Yes, in this valley you'll find not only date palms, but grapefruit, lemon, and a beautiful bougainvillea. It's a brilliant, deep red flower. Hummingbirds fly around there all the time, too. Now let's see what we can do here next. I think perhaps we ought to give a little irregularity and texture to this foothill. And let's do a little to this one back here also, just to show a little separation between this upper hill and the lower one. Well, now let's see what we can do here. Let's make this curb stand up by shading the side of it. Since light's coming in from the right, that would get shaded. Now let's put in a grapefruit grove here. Draw a circle, and another circle, and another one overlapping. And bring down the trunk of each tree like that. You didn't know they were round like grapefruit, did you? Well, they're not exactly round, but they are sort of round like that. Now you put in some shading on the left side of each of these ball forms. Make it crescent-shaped. Those leaves are very deep green. There you rough up the smoothness of the circle. And let's indicate some fruit on these trees, and then we'll fill in between. Just work some tone in and around between those circular shapes that you've made, and we'll soon be harvesting that crop. Well, put a little tone on the trunks of these trees, and let's indicate more trees in behind there. And now cast some shadows from the bases of these trees. And because of the solid grouping of the tops of them, they're just massive here on this surface. Always keeping it lying down. Let it drop down from this curb and reach partly out into the highway here. Well, maybe I've gone a little fast for you here, but any time I do that, you put down whatever you can during the program and then finish up later, because you'll find that when you're drawing the picture over and taking your time, that you really do a much better picture. Well, while you're catching up there, I'd like to show you something that's going to help you make better drawings. All right. Well, now let's get back to our drawing here. Since we're drawing a picture of Palm Springs, I guess you wonder where the palms are. Well, we'll draw one right here, like that. Now let's put some fronds on the top of this palm tree. Make them shoot out sort of like a fountain or a fireworks, one of those whirligigs. After you've put the main stems on, put a whole series of these little leaves, and then make them cross like that. Shoot some in on each one till you've got a whole lacework of long needles. You know, these palms are very interesting because each year these live fronds die and hang down, forming a large, heavy skirt around the trunk. Now, of course, you know, that holds a great deal of water through the dry season. Let's get a little highlight on the side here. It keeps the tree alive through the hottest, driest weather. Now let's see what we can do here. Well, I think we ought to cast a shadow. Cast a long shadow going out to the left. And by the way, we put some buildings in here a while ago. Let's cast some little thin shadows to the left of those, lying down like that. And in the back, let's put in several more palms. Those you merely suggest. Oh, there are lots of them there, all right. Royal palms and Washington palms. Say, by the way, that mountain up there in the background, there's something interesting about it I'd like to tell you. Around on the other side, now this is San Jacinto. Around on the other side, near the top, there's a creek called Snow Creek, in which the snow never melts the year round. Now let's put another huge palm right here at the side. Let's sort of break it into the edge of the picture to frame it. Make it come right on out like that. And then bring those fronds down like this. Put a few touches of texture here on the trunk and shoot some of these huge fronds out like this. Speaking about that Snow Creek up there, it never reaches the desert floor. It sort of disappears, but it flows the year round. There are trout up there, marine life that you won't find anywhere else in the world. The stream flows constantly from the melted snow. Well, let's see now what else we could do here to this picture. Let's cast a shadow across the foreground. That helps frame it too. In like this, and right across there. Now let's put our frame on the picture. And you can see by learning to draw how the artist's imagination is free to create pictures from any part of the world at any time. And by the way, here's something I'd like to show you that'll help you create pictures like this.